Now that we have the back rows clear, we can then activate the Brionic to bounce our own Deep Sea Diva back to hand. So we can then pay 500 and replay the Deep Sea Diva. What's going on, guys? Dan from SSG bringing you another Edison format deck profile. This time I'm profiling my Diva Gadget deck. It's a combo control deck that can really go off with Ultimate Offering, but also just a control deck that can sort of beat down and control the game with +1s of gadgets. I worked on this deck for a while. We have an updated version here, and we're going to go with the full 9 copies of the gadgets here. 3 of each of them. We want to just have access to these on turn 1, just getting our +1 and start controlling the game. And we have a 45 card list this time rather than the 40 because we want to just open 1 gadget. I think opening 2 is fine as well. But 3 on turn 1 can just be really game ending. And having a 45 card deck with 9 gadgets is, in theory, you're going to draw an average of 1 per turn. However, we want to have as most access to these as possible because you really go through a lot of them while controlling the game, and then you want to have the rest of them in your deck so when you draw Ultimate Offering or your other combo pieces, you can actually combo and kill your opponent. And I think combo control decks are just really powerful in all card games. I think it's my favorite like archetype to play in that sense. And all 9 gadgets, it's very consistent with the 45 cards. And then we have the 3 copies of Deep Sea Diva. This card just goes insane with Ultimate Offering, just comboing with the gadgets to create insane and amazing OTKs. Diva is just a strong card on its own, as it can summon the 1 copy of Spine Gilman that we play. Being able to summon Spine Gilman, having powerful access to the catastor is very strong as well. And this, I'll show you some of the combos at the end of the profile, and it is just excellent card. We also have 1 copy of Plaguespreader Zombie. It just acts as similar to Diva, where it's 2 tuners for 1. So we do play the 1 Plague. You don't really draw it often in a 45 card deck. However, it just gives you that extra combo ability. Just gives you 1 extra tuner monster that can go off with the gadgets, which is strong. I think it's very good. So we also have the 3 copies of Caius here. Caius is just extremely strong when you're going first, even without any of your combo pieces. Just summon a gadget, set some back row, and then turn 2 drop a Caius, just like the gadget replaced itself. You're now removing one of their bigger threats or a face-down monster to allow you to start attacking and beating down. And Caius is just unbelievable with Ultimate Offering. When they declare an attack, you can just sack your gadget away for an off-turn Caius, which is just extremely powerful. And there's a lot of cool combos you can do with this card as well. So we have the 3 full copies of Caius. Then onto spells, 3 copies of Upstart Goblin. Yes, we are a 45 card deck playing 3 copies of Upstart because we still want to thin out the deck to try and find our Ultimate Offering and combo off, as well as our Diva or our Caius. We want to get those power cards into our hand without messing up the deck count for the gadgets. If we go down to 40 cards like I had in my previous list, we're going to be drawing a bunch of gadgets in a lot of games, and those are really the only games I was losing with the deck. So I think going up to 45 with 3 Upstart makes it so that the deck size at the beginning of the game is 45, making it consistent for those gadget numbers, but also just the Upstarts thinning out the deck in the middle of the game, and the deck manipulation as well as searching with gadgets. You can kind of like, you wait to use these at a certain time when you have 1 gadget out of the deck after you search on turn 1, or maybe 2 gadgets, depending on the card you're looking for. And a lot of times you just want to thin out your deck, maximize your ability to draw that Ultimate Offering. And a 45 card deck with 3 Upstarts for that reason. And then similar to Upstart, we're running 2 copies of Gold Sarcophagus to search out that Ultimate Offering, but also some power cards, and it searches a lot of different things. But I think Gold Sarcophagus is just kind of underplayed. Like, the -1 doesn't really matter at all in this deck since your gadgets are getting +1s anyway. And then that card is going to come to your hand in 2 turns, and you're just going to completely win the game if they don't have an answer for that Ultimate Offering. So very strong 5 here, just kind of like 5 cards added to the deck. And these 5 are just really good as they thin out your deck. They search for exactly what you're looking for, but also make it so that you're still playing the 45. We have then 3 copies of Smashing Ground here. Just solid removal lets us play the 1-for-1 game plan where you can just summon gadget, pop their monster, summon gadget, pop their monster. Very strong against a lot of different matchups, and I think it's just very good there. And I also do run 1 copy of Hammer Shot for that reason. I think you could run a Soul Taker over this, but I just like the Hammer Shot as you really want to kill your opponent. I think the Upstarts kind of can inflict with some of your OTKs. If they are at 9,000 fully, it can be hard to kill them. So I think adding the Soul Taker would be a little bit difficult. But the goal is to hit in with a gadget or two and then completely combo off and win the game. So we have the 4 removal spells. They're very solid. I think you could go up to 5 in the main deck, but I do just like the 4 as it's been working out for me so far. You then have 1 copy of Brain Control. You don't normally get to play this card in Gadgets, but you get to sacrifice their monster for caius. You get to sync her with Deep Sea Diva or Plague Spreader Zombie. Really strong there. I went down to 1 copy of Pot of Avarice. I had it at 2 for a while, but 1 is just fine. Like, you're just going to draw it in the late game. It's going to be excellent. You want to put your Divas and Gadgets back, and I think I was clogging a little bit too much in the early game with this card. And another thing is, too, you can also just search it with Gold Sarcophagus. So, cards is very good. Get you back into the game, and you don't really want to draw it early in this deck, as you really want to 1-for-1 with all your opponent. You want all your cards to do something in the early game, and if you draw this in the early game, you can kind of just be down a card, and it's not very good. So 1 copy of Avarice. We then have Heavy Storm and MST. Just for our removal, we want to be able to combo off. And once we have the Ultimate Offering in play, we can do really nasty things, like we can summon all of our monsters on our opponent's turn, then flip or activate the Heavy Storm, clear away the back row, and kill our opponent. MST, just a very versatile card, so I like the 2 there. That's all for the spells. We go on to the trap cards. 2 Ultimate Offerings. This card is amazing. This card, I was surprised it was at 2 when I first started getting into Edison. This is the first deck I really brewed up because I thought it was a really awesome deck that could really awesome card that could just be built around in a few different ways, but Ultimate Offering, just one of those cards insanely broken. If you draw this card in combination with Diva or Gadget, you just kind of can just go off, and it's very, very strong and wins games. I upgraded to the Super Rares from last profile because I love this deck so much. I enjoyed playing it so much, and it's been performing really well for me. So we have the 2 Ultimate Offerings that we want to grab as early as possible. Then we have for removal 3 copies of Dimensional Prison, as well as 2 copies of Bottomless Trap Hole. We just want to have as much removal as possible, just 1-for-1ing with our opponent, letting our gadgets poke in so that we can kill them earlier in the game as the game progresses. And I think these cards just help you remove creatures, keeps the board cleared, and we can keep moving on with our game plan. More removal, we have the Mirror Force as well as Torrential Tribute, just strong cards. We're going to wipe our opponent's board, and that's about it. And then 1 kind of tech flex slot that I wanted 1 more piece of removal, and I've been like figuring out what exactly I want it to be. I landed on Raigeki Break because I think Raigeki Break is just really strong at removing like floodgates, like skill drain, as well as threats and monsters and stuff like that. And a lot of times you can discard the gadget +1s if you have an extra gadget in hand. You can just discard a gadget. You don't really mind. You're drawing so many cards in the game over the course of a game that the 1 card for Raigeki Break doesn't matter. And it's a very versatile card. Just gets rid of the thing forever. And sometimes you can even discard a Plague Spreader Zombie, which doesn't come up too often, but it has happened before. Just really strong in the late game. You have more cards than your opponent. You're going to trade them out, and this card just gets the job done. Very versatile removable piece. I then moved 1 Royal Oppression into the main deck, as it's just really powerful. You can just play the controlling role and don't have to combo off with Diva or anything like that to actually win the game. So I like the 1 Oppression in the main board as just sort of a I win button against the decks that can't deal with it. Very strong there, but also you don't want 2 in the main because like there's decks that you want to ultimately be a combo deck in game 1 and be aggressive and linear, which is I think the best thing to be doing in Edison format in game 1 at least. So I think the 1 Oppression just kind of a middle ground. It gets the job done. I like it a lot. And at 1. We then have 1 copy of Dark Bribe, 1 copy of Starlight Road. I like Dark Bribe a lot as sort of a flexible card that can act as Starlight Road to protect your back rows against cards like Heavy Storm, but also just push through and push through your combos when you're actually comboing off with Ultimate Offering. And Starlight Road, of course, can just be a very strong card. Many of you know that. But Dark Bribe, an excellent card that adds to this deck that has been performing very well. And sort of next to the Dark Bribe is the 1 copy of Solemn Judgment, as these 3 just protect you against heavy. Because when you have to set your Ultimate Offering, you generally have to set like a piece of interaction with it. And these cards just allow you to set 3 cards together in those like middle turns or like the 3rd turn of the game where you're really trying to combo off. So really strong trio here, gets the job done. And then the 45th card, of course, Trap Dustshoot would not be an SSG profile without it. Even though it's a 45 card deck, I want Trap Dustshoot. I want to draw it. I want to beat our opponent with it. It is extremely powerful. We will run the 1 Dustshoot. On to the extra deck. We have the 2 level 5s of Magical Android and Catastor. Having access to these cards with Diva, just really strong. Just it kind of acts as a gadget. It gets your pot of avarice early in the game, just 3 monsters in the graveyard right away. Diva, Spine Gilman, and one of these. But Catastor, just having access to this card in a gadget deck is really strong. Just more removal in that sense, and just kind of answers things at a +1. But yeah, these cards are just really good, and they get the job done. And we have 1 copy of Brionic as well as Goyo Guardian. We're going to be mainly sinking into 6 with our gadgets and Diva. However, Brionic is the combo piece of this deck, and this card is really, really important for comboing off and doing very nasty things. Goyo Guardian, just a strong piece here, and I'll show you. Let's keep Brionic to the side, as Brionic is going to show be very powerful. And then I do play 2 more 6s in the Gaia and Urquiza. You just want to have access to these. I've made this card a lot of times while under skill drain, which is very good once the Goyo is dead. And then you have the Urquiza, just really good against Dandy Warrior, just kind of like, you have extra deck space for it, so I decided to go with the Urquiza. We then have 2 7s. We have Black Rose and Urbellum. You can make these cards with Cyber Dragon out of the sideboard. I was on Ancient Fairy over the Urbellum, but Urbellum's actually pretty good because it combos with Smashing Ground and Hammer Shot to clear the way for the Urbellum to actually swing in. So I do like the 1 tech copy of Urbellum. Very, very strong there. We have 8s for Stardust Dragon as well as the Colossal Fighter. You don't go into 8s often, but having access to them, because like Gadget plus Diva is an 8 technically, so we're going to have a few of these. We have Thought Ruler Archfiend as well as Red Dragon Archfiend. Just kind of toolboxy type cards. And then we also have the 1 Dark End Dragon, because if you have access to this card, you might as well play it. You can summon it with Caius plus a Deep Sea Diva, so very strong there. And then we have 1 copy of Mistworm, which is really important for our combo kill. Mistworm just can clear the way, and I'll sort of get into that as we make it to the combo section of our profile. And then we have the 1 Chimera Tech for the sideboard. On to the sideboard. 3 DD Crows, 2 Cyber Dragon, just staple. Cyber Dragon's really good in game 2 for comboing with Diva, but also just getting rid of machine monsters. And these 5 are just awesome. I like them a lot. You should play them. I like the Kaikus, 2 copies of Kaiku in the sideboard. I had 1 in the main last time, but 2 in the sideboard. You just want to be able to hit with this card, and when you're playing 1-for-1 removal spells like Smashing Ground and Hammer Shot, you're going to be able to actually get a hit with this card, and once you get a hit, the card just replaces itself. It's just a +1 or a +2 at that point. Card's just really strong, keeps them off of value, just very good card, and when you can actually hit with it, which is why I like it so much in this deck. I have 1 copy of Reaper. Card's really good in grindy matchups, very good against dragons, just kind of walls people out, combos with your removal spells as well, just hitting in, getting that direct hit very strong. I have 2 copies of the Lightning Vortex. It can be a little bit hard to deal with an established board without a card like Mirror Force, and you don't really mind discarding a gadget to blow up their whole board and then start attacking with that gadget. So very, very strong. 2 Lightning Vortex. I don't think you can go up to 3 just because you don't always have the discard to discard. You do eventually run out of cards. But 2 Lightning Vortex, very good here. And then I also have the 1 Hammer Shot for removal. The additional removal spell is just really good in a lot of matchups, and you do want the 2nd copy of Hammer Shot. We then have 2 copies of Dust Tornado, just more removal for skill drains, things like that. Cards are really sneaky, actually. If you end phase the Dust Tornado, you can then set a Ultimate Offering to flip up on your turn, which is a really sneaky way to like combo out your opponent out of nowhere. And really strong 2 Dust Tornado, very versatile card. We have the 2nd Royal Oppression, as well as 1 Trap Hole. A lot of Blackwings running around. I like Trap Hole, just more removal and very good against Blackwings as it denies the activation of Black Roman. So we're going to get into the main combo line that we can get into here. Of course, we start with Ultimate Offering, a gadget. Any gadget can do, and Deep Sea Diva. It is a 3-card combo. However, gadgets, you have 9 of them in the deck, so it's basically a 2-card combo here. And we're going to drop the Ultimate Offering, pay 500, and we're going to summon a bunch of gadgets first. So we're going to go down the line here, drop 3 gadgets into play, and then normal summon our Deep Sea Diva by, of course, paying 500 for each of them. Our Deep Sea Diva will then get a 2nd copy of Deep Sea Diva, where now we can synchro into our first synchro monster, and it's going to be a Brionic here, and Brionic at this point in the combo, we're going to have more cards than our opponent because we're just grinding 1 for 1 and getting +1, so we can then use our Brionic's priority to discard additional gadgets or whatever plus like sort of cards we have in our hand to clear the back rows away. And a lot of times it's like 1 or 2. You get to MST or Dust Tornado a back row, then you use Brionic's priority to bounce the other one, and then we go. Now that we have the back rows clear, we can then activate the Brionic to bounce our own Deep Sea Diva back to hand. So we can then pay 500 and replay the Deep Sea Diva. And then we're going to go and grab the Spined Gilman out of the deck now. So now that our opponent's back rows are clear, we're just going to try and maximize our damage and kind of just go off and kill our opponent. So we're going to go and synchro with the Diva as well as the Gadget and Spine Gilman, and it's of course always important to synchro with the lowest attack monster for Gadget, for the gadgets, because we need to maximize that damage. And this time, of course, we're going for the Mistworm, and Mistworm is going to bounce all of our opponent's monsters away. So we bounce all the back rows away with Brionic, we bounce all the monsters away with Mistworm, and now we have the last gadgets in our hand. We can sort of just go down the line and go ahead and drop those gadgets into play. And this is more than 8,000, and it varies. Usually it's around 83, but it varies depending on what gadget you have in play. So this is an OTK that plays around your opponent's back rows, wipes away all your opponent's monsters, and can just get in and attack directly for game. So pretty strong OTK there. There's some other plays you can also do. I'll show one more with Caius, because Caius is a very powerful card. We're just gonna go back to the point where we have the gadgets, as well as, I guess this one's away. So we have the Diva, we have 1 Brionic, and then we have gadgets in play. So now what we can normally do is we can just drop down we go Ultimate Offering, sack for Caius here, banish one of our opponent's monsters. You generally do this when they have dark monsters in play, so you can get the extra burn damage in to play around cards like Gorse and Tragodia. But so what we can also do now, since we have the gadget chain in our hand, we're going to be able to discard a card to bounce the Caius back to your hand, and then now our hand looks like Caius plus Gadget or multiple other cards. So we can then pay 500, drop a green Gadget into play, go search the red, pay 500, sack for Caius, and then we can, however many extra cards we have, we can keep discarding for Brionic to bounce the Caius, drop this into play, search another Gadget, drop the Caius down, and that is just a way to just keep bouncing Caius over and over again and just combo off on our opponent. So that is the deck, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about the deck in the comment section below, as I think this deck is just really awesome. It's been performing extremely well at locals, usually going 3-1 or better, and it just does a lot of really broken things. I think Ultimate Offering is one of the very strong cards in the Edison format that can do a lot of work. So that's about it, guys. Without further ado, this is Dan V from SSG signing out.